over.
Oh, where's the ears? Oh,
sorry. I'm getting comfy, Bam.
There we are.
Joy. This is the joy that Bambos gets on a daily basis. How can he have fun? So he puts a kitty cat behind me. So now I've got 2 cat ears the whole show. This is Bambos' humor.
Hey, very immature. I kind of realized, I think I announced on my stories that we're starting at 5. So,
did you? Oh, okay. So for those people who aren't aware, we're starting at 4:30. Now you know.
Now you know. So today today we have the art of having no idea
with Laurence Shorter, and we're going to discuss exactly what it means to go into life and not have an idea what the hell is going to happen next, and where we're going to do that. Where we're going to do that?
A wonderful
chaos.
Hey.
So, before we go anywhere, for those with us yesterday, Bambos is on a pilgrimage back to Cyprus. He's rediscovering his roots, and every day
discovering family that he didn't know existed.
Yeah, his father was a Rolling Stone. Wherever he put his hat was his home. All he left us was alone. Sly and the Family Stone. If we haven't sung that together, we'll need to do that at some point.
I love that song.
And the question to you is every day, what did you learn today that you didn't know yesterday?
Oh, today I took a break from that part of the family.
Okay.
It was more a process. I had a nice connection with my nephew. We actually talked. I asked him, hey, listen, how was it to have me as your uncle when I was a drug addict? And he said, I don't remember you being a drug addict. And he shared some from the eyes of a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
And I mean, he did remember some moments where he thought, oh, there's something wrong here. And so, and we kind of said, I think you should come on the podcast. I think Andy would love to poke your brain.
I'm
doing that for you. You know that.
I was wondering about that. I was thinking to myself, I don't want you to put yourself in it. I would be more curious how it is to live in Greece, or not Greece, in Cyprus, sorry, where it's an island nation that everything you reveal about you is a family discussion every dinner when his mom says, did you hear what Bambo said on the show today? That's more of the interest I'd have,
I think what I'm discovering about the island life is everyone, and I remember this as a child, I said it yesterday, everyone is busy protecting an image, and they really live and care what everyone else thinks.
Yeah.
So I'll behave in a certain way in case I'll get judged. And I'm like, wow, to what degree are you living? So I really get it now why people get triggered in my surroundings when I'm like this.
Yeah, when you're free and you don't care what people think. God forbid that you should be that comfortable.
Let's own that. I do care.
Yeah.
But there's a consequence if I allow that. So it's not that it's not vulnerable.
Not true.
I can allow that to be there, and it's not even a choice to.
Yeah.
Not live like this. Yeah.
No, that's beautifully put. I would agree, because I'm the same. I wouldn't say that I'm irrelevant to what other people are feeling. I'd say I'm at least going to take that into account, but not live sacrificing whatever's also important to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's sweet. We have another show idea that I had today, and that's going to be, what happens when someone says to you, I'm going to tell you something, but I don't want you to say it to anybody else. We're going to do an entire show on that, because I see that's like one of the top 3 traps that people don't know how to deal with in life. So we're going to do a full show on that, but we park that for the moment. We go back to Laurence, who is the center of our world today. Why Laurence said yes is actually a good question, because he's prominent. He's published books that have been bestsellers, including The Optimist and The Lazy Guru's Guide to Life. I showed Ronnie his Wikipedia page, and she said, "You know what? I'm looking for a comedian to do a show, so maybe he's going to be someone who can, hold a group of bankers." And I said, "Baby, anyone can hold a group of bankers because, in general, the humor level doesn't have to go that high,
Ooh! And if anyone from Ronnie's colleagues are watching, please be offended.
Please be offended. Please be offended. He's spent years in creative entrepreneurship, in the VC world, tech strategy, brand, and leadership, grounded in spiritual practice of non-duality and surrender. Where have you heard those two words come from, Bambos? Non-duality and surrender. Certainly we'll have a lot in common. So
it feels like you're inviting a lot of people that you have
exactly.
things in common.
I was going to say people, and let's put you in the center of this discussion. So at least you're like a sandwich now.
Hey, Laurence, I'm already know the show. This is it. You're gonna be saying da 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 da, and that's like yes. And in my life, da 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 da, and you're gonna like wow, and there's gonna be this complete praise of each other, and I'm gonna be like,
and then Bambos, what we'll do is eventually we'll just do this. We'll put Bambos over there.
Have you noticed how our heads go down like that? Like my head's the smallest. I've got the smallest head. It's been an insecurity all my life.
Yeah, Bambos and I, we agreed that when we have this camera, that we kind of have to align our heads so we look reasonably similar to the. There
you go.
Well,
so it's a lens trick. The closer to the lens, the bigger you get.
I'm feeling very self-conscious about my archetype now, right? Because like there's two specky guys with beards. And I'm do I take my glasses off? Like I can, that's no problem, but I feel uncomfortable.
Nice. Well, I'll do my glasses off and we'll all look kind of similar. I love it.
I have to say I'm wearing a hat because I don't have any hair, but I thought I would. And Andy had a haircut today.
Yeah, I just got a haircut. In fact, Bambos called me in the middle and I took a picture I picked up the phone so he could see me getting my hair washed. It was a very funny moment today.
And I made a screenshot of him.
So, Laurence,
the art of doing nothing.
Exactly. The art of doing not the art of doing nothing. That's a different show, Bambos.
Oh, sorry.
We're at the art of having no idea. Now, just to give you a story of how, at least, Laurence, we've come to find you, is we've done 222 shows. You're number 222. And we have literally not known what we were going to do before we started any of those shows.
Yeah. I mean, it's beautiful, and I'm envious. Let me get that off my chest right away. I envy the beauty of your form, right? Because I think that I've aspired to that form, and I've done it, and you have done that magic trick of systematizing the unknown, so that you have that formulaic platform of unknowingness every day, or however often it is you do it these days. And this is something that I haven't mastered yet, which is that I think there's a slight artist tendency that I am recognizing in myself. Not that I'm calling myself an artist, but I am an artist.
Yeah.
But that I like to move on from forms. Like, so I do it for a short period of time, and then I say, I'm kind of bored of that title now. I want to try a new one. And so I really admire it when anyone just does it with persistence, especially a form like this, which is so emergent and loose and open. It's just what it needs, right? It needs that holding structure.
Yeah, we had, I had a mentor who I was with for 10 years, and every 2 years he'd change the name of our company, because he'd say, no, Andy, no, it's not right. It's not special enough. And then the end, like I did this like 5 times with him. And the end I said, Case, no one has ever come to us because the title of our company. They come to us because of a relationship they have. So let's just pick a dumb name and stick with it, and that'll be fine, right?
What was the dumb name?
Cubist, question-based interactive systems technologies.
Dumb name.
Well, I'm guilty of the keep changing the name in the hopes that it will nail it.
Yeah, that's what I did. I did that 10 years. I can tell you like the iterations. We started with not the carrot, and then we went to unprecedented, and then we went to something in between I can't remember, and then we went to meaningful relations, and then we ended up with Cubist. So we went through maybe 5 or 6 of these things.
So I'm really honored to be here. And what do you want to talk about? I mean, yeah, go on.
Exactly. Tell us
Laurence,
about your biggest childhood wound. What was the thing that you think you had to recover from in your life as a child so that you could become the man you are today?
Well, I'm still recovering from it. And I guess my understanding of it would be because a wound is always invisible until you start recovering from it.
Wow.
In my experience, it is that I think, accidentally neglected a little bit. I say accidentally because my parents are good parents and they were were and are good people. And yet, in the early 70s, it was still, I think, there were still blind spots, right? So I was 2 things. The doctors, in their wisdom, the obstetricians, I was born in New York City, because apparently this was a great thing to do. It took the baby away from the mother for 24 hours. Apparently that was a great thing to do. And, I didn't know that. But that was apparently just a wonderful thing to do for a child's nervous system. And wow. So that's one thing that happened. And then I think that when I was 9 months old, my mother went off for a couple of months on holiday and left me with my grandparents in another country. The kind of thing that was probably just, absolutely bread and butter in centuries past, and perhaps during the Second World War, unspeakable trauma filtering its way through the entire population of everywhere, and then kind of echoed in the children of that time. So I think that I'm just one of a universal. I'm one of billions of people who suffered from some psychological blind spots. So my wound is feeling rejected, not good enough, and even, so let's say, unattractive, ugly, annoying, and undesirable. And I still to this day find it difficult to be at peace with my image online. So I can really pointedly not looking at my face now. Sometimes I glance over and I'm like, oosh, don't want to look at that.
Wow.
And the judgments.
Yeah.
And the weird inversion of that is sometimes I'm fascinated by, I'm looking great,
Yeah.
So there's a whole thing there. You asked the right question for a guy like me, because I think about myself all the time.
Yeah, I look at the mirror and say, wow, what a wonderful image I'm looking at.
Yeah, I need some cat ears too.
There's actually one more consequence. Removing a baby from its mother for 24 hours is the baby tends to have problems latching onto the nipple.
Oh yeah, I don't know if that happened, but I know we didn't bond well, and so the story goes that we had trouble. My mum and I had trouble for forever, and it perhaps originated there. But who knows where these things originate? It may have been that I came into this life with some issues. I don't know where it starts. Like the iceberg, how deep under the water does it go back in time, ancestrally or karmically? And all I know is that even now, every day, my job now is to soothe my nervous system enough and hold it. So to hold it, which is why I'm obsessed with holding and structure, and why I admire your structure, is to hold myself enough so that I can be creative. Because there's still like a kid who got disconnected, who knows that there were moments of pure immersion and flow and absorption, and I live for those. And and even just in terms of not idealism, but just having to get make a living, I have to get into that state. So I'm dealing with that tendency all the time, every day.
Well, as you're speaking, I just feel it. That's intense.
Yeah.
And beautiful. As you're speaking, I'm I love this man.
Yeah, me too.
Thank you. Yeah. That's nice. I mean, I suppose it is intense, and it's only now. Look, I'm 50. Believe it or not. Well, believe it or believe it.
You're 51 according to Wikipedia.
Oh, that's a lie. And you know what? Especially since it was my brother who put the page up initially. Whoops. No, I'm 50, but look, it's almost as if the intensity of it has only become apparent to me in recent years. So it's like, oh, now I begin to realize the full intensity of it. Whereas before, I remember my 20s, like, hey, my childhood was great. And then something happens in my mid-30s, crisis, some proper rejection, some failure, right? And then it's like, ooh, there's something going on. What's going on? Oh, I'm like these layers of an onion. Geez, what's inside me? And then, 15 years later, I'm still uncovering, oh, wow, this is not a thing you solve overnight. This is a this is a daily practice of focus and compassion, like warrior-like structure and goddess-like kindness.
Yeah.
And it turns out that's quite a useful set of skills for life in general. So
Yeah,
there are gifts,
Yeah, you pointed at basically in the text was also about polarities, and if there's one thing we spend a lot of time discussing on the show is not the dualism and like holding two things that appear to be opposing ideas simultaneously. Yeah.
That sounds good, but I can't remember where that came up. Was that something that you said?
It was in your no. It was in your bio. You talked about that your practice is this non-dualism and surrender. And we spent a lot of time talking about both of those subjects in different shapes and forms on this show.
Yeah, because the more you talk about it, the more the more you're practicing it.
Exactly.
No. Yeah.
No, that's the humor of it. I mean,
yeah.
But I mean, that's the beauty of the absurdity is that
let's analyze it.
Yeah, let's conceptualize it so that we think we understand it. So now we actually believe that we actually got it, right? That's
No, I mean, this is the thing. I spent until really, really recently. I mean, right here, just on my right, there's a closet with a stack of notebooks where I was like every day I would like bullet point something like this is the way to live, or this is what I need to do, or this is who I am. And it's like at some point, the definition of madness is you keep doing the same thing over and over again. It's like I started to realize I had all these notes and they were just saying the same thing and I wasn't living it. It's like, okay, there comes a time when you want to start like being it, Laurence. And even I say things in my books like Lazy Guru that are like super wise, but do I do it? So anyway.
Yeah, I was laughing because as you speak, and we had a beautiful guest on yesterday as well, where a lot of these themes were also coming up. And the thing that I just had is, I've just jumped into the third book. It just happened, for me, I don't focus. It just hits me and I write. And then I wake up at 4 a.m. and I write. And then I'll write a book. And then at the end, like I don't have a focus or a linear way of operating. Yeah. I finished the book looking at it, trying to take out how I see communications and make it, written in a textbook-like form. And then I look at it and I'm say, this is bullshit. Because now I've taken the complexity of being raised with an abusive dad and I've tried to make it look like this is something that I can reverse engineer and teach somebody where actually they didn't have a dad screaming at them where they had to look at that micro expression of anger on their face and say, oh shit, that means anger. So now that became a skill. How do you teach that to someone in a book and be honest about it? That was a very funny moment of realization.
Yeah. I guess it's the difference between art and teaching. And that's one I struggle with all the time. I could just keep talking all the time, but I want to hear from Bambos as well.
Well, Bambos will often sit there and look at us and say, "Oh shit, what's going on here?" So what's going on there, Bambos?
Is he just exuding from his heart chakra?
Yeah. He does that all the time.
He just sits there and just goes. Like
he holds space for both of us, but I always like to check in.
Yeah, nice.
Well, before the show, Andy, before you jumped on with us, he was like, "Wow, we're having this person on our show, and online it's this, and this, and he's a great man." And so when you came on and I saw that somehow you were showering us with a lot of love and acknowledgement and almost elevating us, and kind of you staying in this humility place. And I just want to name that I saw that happening, and I was wondering how when people elevate you, what happens for you?
Yeah, that's a great question, because when you were talking about me before I came on, I was like, who is that? Actually, there was one moment when I thought I lost the thread because maybe I thought about something that I had to do. And then I thought, and then I tuned back in. It's like, who are they talking about? And I think that, it's a fine line, isn't it? I'm a coach. And one of the things that I think I do as a coach is, I used to, is deflect from myself by asking questions. Now that's how I developed the skill. But now what's the art is like, allowing myself to be vulnerably center stage or even vulnerably celebrated. It's pretty painful. And painful is too strong a word. It's like, or it's too obvious a word, because it's awkward and uncomfortable. And there's that. I am, by the way, I am, as you can tell, English, but I'm half American. So I was born there and my mother was from the States. So inside me somewhere, there's this like salesperson, right? There's this, I'm not saying all Americans are salespeople, but there's that sense of pride in representing yourself, or at least an aspiration. And so I like integrating those two things is such a big, I am right at the beginning of that, bamboo. So baby steps right now. And I think maybe it comes down to really, I suppose, accuracy of story. Like when you talk about all the things I've done or what I've done, there's always a part of me that says, yeah, but I was a bestseller in Canada. Okay. It's like, I just want to undercut myself all the time, but still it's an international bestseller. So, good.
Yeah.
And maybe it's like an addiction to there's an addiction to honesty, and it can be accidentally, it can be covertly self judging or hiding even. Yeah. So thanks. You're a beautiful person.
I can relate with everything you've said for sure. No.
Which part?
I mean, deflecting.
This is the part where I said you guys get to connect.
Yeah, this is just deflect. I mean, I see myself deflecting. The book the second book I just did won a prize in a category of large publishers for self-help. So it's an accomplishment, right? You'd say, and then I say, well, you know what? I mean, the book competition couldn't have been that big if I won it. Of course, like that's the first diminishing of the book, and then it's like, you know what, babe, you had to pay to get in the competition. So of course the number of entries can't be all that much if you had to pay to get in. So at the end, it's almost like a great achievement. But it couldn't have been that good, but it couldn't. At the end, you're just not celebrating the actual achievement. Right.
Yeah. And actually this is really, brings me back to what I was saying about this shift I'm making. I say I'm making because I'm really right in the middle of it. This shift from planning the future to living every day. And it's not spiritual. It is spiritual, but it's not like, it's not just living in the moment. It's literally, well, what do I, what habits every day? So it's about, the habits every day that are nourishing. And what I'm beginning to see is that, so I'm coming off of your gratitude thing here. Like there's this self-appreciation piece. But I don't like doing it in an engineered way. Like, so there's the mindset of kind of self-hacking where these are practices. I'm going to do this mindfulness. I'm going to do my 3 blessings. I'm going to do my whatever. And, that's great. And yet what I am beginning to really, I'm beginning to be convinced by is that it all comes down to one thing, which is that when I spend time with myself, quality time with myself in whatever way, without a task, including an appreciation task or a writing task or a journal, too many tasks, right? Taskless, this is the no idea stuff, right? Taskless, no idea time with me. And then from that, what I notice is automatically comes at a certain point, sometimes comes suffering or discomfort, but sometimes that has to be there first, and then or agitation. And then some point I start to automatically think of things I'm grateful for. I'm like, geez, that is good. That you don't need to hack your life too much. All you need to do is live every day for yourself. And then so that starts to be I'm just sharing my thought process, like as simple as you can get. But it's a discipline, right? It's hard.
All I can say is hallelujah.
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 Yeah.
As of January this year, I walk every day for about 3 to 4 hours.
Wow.
Every day, 3 to 4 hours.
Jeez. You don't have young children, right?
No, outside of Bombos, no. So and I'm on day like 88 of at least 10,000 steps.
Wow.
And I've been more productive in my life by allotting time just to walk for those 3 to 4 hours than I was ever before when I was cramming shit in and just trying to get as much out of a day as I could.
I've got a question for you, guys, both of you, if you want. So I'm struggling. So I'm always struggling with something, right? I don't mean in a bad way. I'm wrestling with it. So what I'm wrestling with it at the moment is I've engaged in an amazing an amazing course in personal knowledge management. And I can say more about the specific course, but it's an extraordinarily like well thought through, sophisticated methodology for dealing with lots of content, whatever you read or watch, and processing it and then turning it into content. And as I do this, I'm like, wow, okay, everything can become, my life could become highly systematized and mechanized and routinized and all that stuff. And I've got to make I'm the one who makes the living in our house. I'm the earner. And so I've got to do it, right? There's a logic to it. But how do I do that while what you said about how you wrote your book, you see, this is what sparked this, is like, that is how it really happens. Someone's coming in through the door.
That's great. Well, bring him in.
This is the art of having an idea. Would you want, is that a child?
A child or an animal?
I'm on a podcast. That's my wife.
Oh, nice. Let's bring her on. Let's have a talk with her.
You want to come in?
Let's have a talk with her.
Marina, she's pregnant.
Oh, really?
She's gone. Bye.
She's gone, just like that.
Yeah.
Oh, what a shame.
She needed her wallet.
I have the same. I tried to bring my family on, and they.
I mean, it would have been if she couldn't hear you talking.
No,
if I'd been out,
not.
she might have said, "Oh, hi." Anyway, so yeah, like so. But how I need to write is in that, how I wish I could write is in that way. Oh, it just came. That's how I want to live, right? And yet, when you have this kind of nervous system that I have, or this very scattered mind, always ideas, what's the minimum holding that's required? But the struggle or the wrestle is, when does all that process start to fill the space completely, so there's no space for the emergence? I was like, whoop. And I guess I just need good coaching on it. But creating as light and simple as possible, a daily structure or a weekly structure, like your walks, that creates the conditions for the emergence.
Yeah.
That's the dream, yeah. But not cluttering it too much. And I'm a real clutterer.
Yeah. I mean, we did a show, I guess 2 weeks ago. It was the being versus doing. So when am I just doing, and then how does that life look, against when am I just fully being, and how does that life look, and how does it look when you've integrated those two in more of a state? So yeah, I hear as you speak, you could say structure versus flexibility, right? That could be another dichotomy you're looking at.
I think I've got it. I think I'm on the path. I think I know what needs to happen, but it's amazing how long I can actually defer the writing because I'm too busy structuring.
Yeah.
And have you read The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield?
The Art of War or The War of Art?
No, The War of Art. So Stephen Pressfield's an American writer, and he twisted the title around and called it The War of Art. It's beautiful. It's kind of a cult book. It's a slender volume. and it's about how difficult it is to create.
Oh, wow.
And it's beautifully written, very powerful, quite muscular kind of language. And he's like, resistance is the enemy.
Oh, yeah.
And you will do anything, you know, not to write. You'll do anything. And every day you have to slay that demon every day. And I'm like, I'm not slaying it right now. I can tell you that. But anyway,
it's a really interesting. I mean, you're touching on a massive point. And as you said it, I could kind of like, I saw that it could be like a whole hour show on just that topic. And I think it's interesting because I've often had trying to support people in my own coaching when they're dealing with a thing you've now discussed. It's not black and white, because at some level, some individuals need structure in order to build a new routine. But then that new structure can become an addiction and stop them from actually getting to be creative. So there's like a fine line, but it's almost like never black or white. It's almost, I need the structure, but now the structure is becoming an impediment and going any further. So now I need the fluidity, right? The solid versus the fluid states. So it's, and I think the trouble is that if we can't see ourselves, right, from the perspective of observing the more animal instincts, then we'll get trapped thinking we know because we're doing the thing we think we know. And at the same time, we're not observing that that's a pattern from the past, or we're not able to see that. I hope that's not going too far into a rabbit hole, but that's when it's really nice to have friends around you that say, hey, dude, this is the fourth time you've discussed this. I had a discussion yesterday on a coaching call with someone. I won't name the individual, but they came to me and they said, I'm doing a job to work for free. Now they come to me for 4 times and they've given away their labor for free to companies. Although they graduated from college, they're highly skilled. So they've actually worth $100,000 easy from their capacity, but they keep doing internships. And they've done internships 4 times I know of. And the last time they said, oh, I'm going to do an internship because I want to learn what it's like at an agency. I'm like, that's great. But why don't you just get the job, because you can get paid for the thing that you were going to have to do there anyways. So you might as well make money at it. No. And the next thing is, I want to work at this creative director's house. Okay, that sounds good. But why don't you get paid for it? So the humor was in this process is, as this individual is telling themselves, I'm doing this to learn and grow, what they're not acknowledging is they're scared as hell to claim their value. Because if they claim their... Go ahead, Bam.
They can get rejected. And then where's my worth?
It's safe not to claim your value.
How did you guys meet each other?
I had anger issues. I ended a relationship. Mother of my child said, you can't see your daughter anymore. And I started a new business, and I was losing money really quickly and going down the drain. And my state of mind was, I didn't have an issue with violence. Highly identified individual, blind as a fucking bat. and in a way, I was going down the drain. And I don't know what he saw in me, but he saw some qualities there that he thought, okay, but we only had one agreement. If you are violent ever again, this relationship is over. So, and in that way, he started to support me. He actually was the only friend I had back then. He was the only one that was saying, he wasn't telling me to get a real job. And I think on that journey, we bonded.
As friends or as a coaching thing?
Andy has been my mentor. He's also been my mentor on the show sometimes, but in general, we like to think that we're equals. How does that land for you, Andy Shalef?
I mean, it would be nice to embrace that for like Laurence, if he sees us on the show and sees me joking with you, playing with, there also might be the understanding that I have been mentoring you for a lot of years. So if you're reading and picking up on that dynamic between the two of us, that would be fair to see. Meaning that's the way we've worked at, or what comes up every so often.
Well, I'm just curious about love affairs between collaborators.
Yeah.
And it's probably because I have a lone wolf streak, and I do collaborate with a lot of people, but I haven't for a long time had a one-on-one partnership with a collaborator. And what I love about your, and I hope I'm not deflecting here, but what I love about your setup is the love and the chemistry, and and that creates a magical alchemy. And so I see you as equals. Yeah, I mean, I experience you as equals, rather. Yeah. I didn't experience that mental thing. No, I was just curious because there's the chalk and cheese thing going on. I like that.
Yeah.
It's lovely. Yeah. And also, when we were talking, I realized there's when you were talking about animal forces, and you didn't lose me. It's just that I wondered if there was something more available than us agreeing with each other about things. And maybe it's about story. Maybe it's.
By the way, you have to slow down a little bit because I don't know what you're referring back to now. So I want to stay with you.
Yeah. Just before I asked about your partnership and how you knew each other, you were talking about structure. We'd gone into this thing about structure and flexibility, and I what I felt was that there was the possibility for something deeper. And I don't know what the access point is. And it could be what my mind is thinking is that could be storytelling, because there's a lot to share. And I'm curious to know if there's a different, and I experienced Bambos as a kind of, his presence as a provocation because of his stillness that provokes me into depth, or wishing to bring more of myself rather than more of my head. If that makes sense. Yeah.
Wow, that's beautiful. Yeah. How does that feel, Bambos?
Well, you said it. It's very beautiful. I noticed when you spoke, my physical reaction, I took an even deeper breath. And it wasn't forceful, but it was quite full. So thank you. I'm enjoying how you're showing up, actually.
Thank you. And there was like a shortness of breath in me. This is the thing. I think somatically, I was experiencing a shortness of breath, a concern with my appearance, kind of slight. And so I feel like this is an opportunity, and it's almost like I want to juice it, because it's not going to be like this for another time. Maybe I'll see you guys again in a year or two. I mean, who knows? So I want the juice.
Yeah,
the juice of this, not just the froth. Yeah.
I'm trying to grasp what the question is.
What the hell are you talking about, man?
Well, I would love this, Bambos. I would ask you, because your questions are going to be deeper connecting to Laurence, and I'll usually stay kind of higher energy a lot and enjoy and play. And what I hear Laurence asking from us, and then more directed towards you, is I'd love to go as deep as you'd like to go. So in a way, it's an invitation, as far as I hear it, to you to say, what would you really love to ask?
Yeah, or it could be for you, Andy, to tell a story or ask a story. I mean, I love telling stories, but it's not necessarily.
Well, I can tell you a confusion I have with you.
Oh yeah, that sounds good.
So it was beautiful because when Bambos came on and he said, "I built you up, and then you came on," I could tell you I had the same experience as he did with you, which was like, who the fuck is this guy? Because I expected this aura. He's a comedian. He's done venture capital. He's done this. He's done the Edinburgh. So as I'm reading your Wikipedia page, I'm like, oh, we're going to be with this high energy character for an hour. We're going to have to kind of keep up with him. And then you come in kind of solemn and kind of present and beautiful, but totally not like what my brain constructed before you showed up.
Yeah. I'm really sorry that I'm solemn. That's terrible. I mean, that's dismal. Comedy's a hat you wear, isn't it? And I'm not a working stand-up comedian. I'm not a gigging comedian. I haven't done comedy for a while, but I love doing it. But it's a hat, right? You put a role on, you put your hat on, and you go up there, and you're being something for someone. And I'm not here being a comedian for you guys. And as far as I can tell, I'm invited here as a human to be equal. So if that comes across as solemn, then that's okay. I guess that's who I am. But so if that's confusing, I guess it's just a matter of time before like the jester comes out as well. I think it's just all the different bits. I'm just not high energy in that way.
But no, but that was more just, by the way, saying something about me and less about you as far as I was concerned just now.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah, it was more like, so I've created a story about you in my head. I've primed Bambos on the same story. You show up, and then we're now sharing an idea of who this guy is, having never met. And now all of a sudden you're in front of us, and like we're reconciling. Actually, if the show had a different title and I didn't lead in with all that content, we would have kind of sort of been present with you because we didn't have assumptions about you before you came on.
Yeah, but it tells you something about my fucked up online identity, doesn't it? I mean, it's true, right? So the level of alignment between how I appear and what I am is, work in progress.
Yeah, I guess.
It's not your fault. It's like, yeah, I've done a lot of things, and I have shown up on. I mean, I remember when I was promoting my first book, I was on TV a few times, and I remember showing up in this and I had peroxide hair, and I was like wearing my jacket, and I was being a media guy, and I was coming up with my funny stories and my gags, and but I wasn't really very, very comfortable or grounded in myself. Yeah. I was being the mask or whatever, and then I burned out because the phone stopped ringing. And I was like, yeah, I did the media round, which you do when you launch a book with an official publisher. And back in those days, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, they threw money at it still. Yeah. And I had some fun. And then suddenly but it was over. And I was like, whoa, what happened? Where am I? Who am I? I'm not famous yet. What's going on? Yeah. And I burned out. And that was not the very beginning, but it was a big stage in my, becoming aware of what was really going on for me. It's I can be I can sink into something. There's something to sink into here, and I'm still sinking into it. But I'm torn, right? So what you're also picking up with me, and I guess I do this work with my clients as well, is just the different parts, right? So there is definitely a guru thing hanging around somewhere in me. There's an archetype somewhere that people say you're a guru. I was like, really? But there's definitely a bit of that going on, right? And then there's a bit of lost boy. Yeah, there's a kind of I'm so wounded. I don't know what I'm doing. Can you help me? I need guidance. And then there's also the maverick or the joker who likes to tease people or prick people's bubbles or just be cheeky. Yeah. And
Laurence, yeah. I just want to say that even though Andy said what he said, you're fully welcomed as you are in our eyes. If anything, during this show, we just embrace whatever shows up, and we also own where we are. If we don't have expectations, then we're always ready to drop everything.
Yeah.
And yeah, I noticed there's now there's a kind of high energy coming from you.
Yeah. The opposite intention is now created.
No, but I'm enjoying it because it's what I feel is the permission. actually what I feel is the permission because of that conversation. Let's say because of that, putting it on the table, right? So what it's allowed for me is not to have to show up in any way. And there's a kind of animation that's possible. Like I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it.
Question for you, Bambos, but I interrupted you there. What else did you have going on? Because you were saying something. Yeah, but you were speaking and then I interrupted. So what was going, what did you want to say?
Pretty much that was it. I was actually going to ask if we can take a deep breath in and reset a little bit. And maybe through the breath, just tuning into if you want to continue sharing what you were sharing, or if something else is coming up for you.
I'm just giggling because I saw that comment. That's a very sweet comment about the calmness. I really appreciate it.
Bolalong is from South Africa. He's our third interviewer. He's never with us, but he's always with us.
Nice. Thank you, Bolalong. Yeah. Yeah, what I get is there's a sprightly joy of dancing around the different personalities and talking about it. I love talking about it. But then underneath that, there is a kind of calmness, and there's a sort of, maybe you could call it solemnity, and I judge it because I'm scared of it being, let's say, too serious, or I like being funny. I want to be funny. I want to be, all those things. So there's underneath that, there is just something much more real, silence. Yeah. And I could hang out in that space pretty easily for quite a while. Yeah.
You said earlier, you were looking for a sidekick, or not looking, but you didn't have, you were a lone wolf, right?
Tendency.
Yeah. Tendency
to do everything on my own, figure it out.
And I'm very much the same. So, and the interesting thing is the show exists because Bambos said, Andy, I like to record our talks. Why don't we just do it online? So, this wasn't actually a, how do we create a show that has a flair of two different people? It was just like, Andy, you're mentoring me. Let's just do the mentoring online because I benefit and other people will benefit. So
and then Andy said to me, I'm bored of talking to you. So I think let's bring on some guests. All of a sudden we start bringing guests on.
Yeah.
Hey, what would happen if you switched around?
Oh, that's hilarious. I was switching and Andy was switching. Good.
That's hysterical.
I like that.
How does it feel to be in the middle?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Other hand, Andy.
I kind of like it because at least I'm staring straight at the camera, and then I can look to you both like that. So more natural.
Yeah, but I guess the reason that I went to the lone wolf tendency is there's a, I would say, going back to a word that you had in your profile, I've sensed that my life moves more from surrender than it does from direction at this present moment. So doing this with Bambos feels more like a surrender experiment than it does, hey, dude, we got to create a podcast and we got to get people interested and we've got to create things that, so it's like that energy is, there is some of it because we started the show and we said we're going to invite people on, no topic or subject matter, and we're just going to talk for an hour. And I said, Bambos, I want to have at least one guiding subject so that people might tune in. Like that was a level of structure that we gave it.
Yeah.
But we've had show.
You have the consistency as well. That's the thing. I've done this. I have a little show. I have my show, Laurence Shorter's Spiritual Experience, and it's similar. But it's the how many times have I shipped it? I don't know, 6 times, 7 times, 8 times, and that's over 2 years, right? You've done it. You know, this is the thing. That is also structure, isn't it? Consistency.
But get this. If Bambo said to me, Andy, I don't want to do this any longer, it would end. So the reason that I'm surrendering to this process is because I get joy from sharing these moments together with guests and in our own subjects.
Yeah.
It's never, so I would imagine if you had a person in your life who you enjoyed being with and you said, let's fuck around for an hour every day. Let's invite the most random people on. Like I'm trying to find,
I'll be honest. Go ahead. The person whose company I enjoy the most is mine. And you know, I do love, there's other people I love and I collaborate with, but you know what? I am my love affair. And I am fascinated by myself. And what's more, I love the things I come out with and I write. And I spend all my time, I wish I spent more time in conversation with myself because there's so much there. And it sounds ridiculously narcissistic, but you know what?
No, it does not.
I actually feel like I am the person I want to get to know. And if everyone were as individualistic as I would like to be, the world would be quite different. And I think that I need to go there before I can really, I mean, I'm married, right? I've managed to form a long-term relationship, but you know how they say you have to marry yourself first. And so
I agree.
I got to do it. Yeah.
I just want to tell you, I mean, with a loud F, I fucking want to see it. Okay. And I swear to you, I would watch that shit like it was like hotcakes. You speaking into a mirror, and then it would the show can be called Reflections of Laurence, and just all the things that you've always wanted to say but never felt comfortable enough to do it till now. Like that would be Jesus. That would be tune in time for me for sure.
I'll put that into my do later pipe. No, I thank you. I really appreciate it. And I wanted to say something, but I think I've forgotten. Oh yeah, no, you're aspirational for me, right? So you talk about, you know, I can see in you have the same quality of imparting wisdom, yeah, because it's instinctive to you to impart wisdom and to speak from experience. And you guys are ahead of me. I love it. I don't mean in any spiritual sense. I don't think you're ahead of me spiritually. But I think it's fucking great how you have managed to build surrender in and how you are living that process. And the question I wanted to pose, maybe because I'm a natural workshop leader, is, you know, like, where is that edge for us, for each of us? Like, where could we surrender more? Like, where could we, now, what's the frontier for that for you? I'm asking it for myself. I'd like someone to ask me that. Like, where could I surrender more?
Yeah, where is the surrender? What's that for you?
I don't know.
If you had to guess.
The surrendering is letting go of needing to ask any more questions, actually. Yeah. Because I know, yeah. Because I think I know everything. I don't mean I know everything, but I know it's it. Yeah. The addiction to asking questions is.
Oh, wow. That's a biggie.
Yeah.
What was the title of our podcast?
The title was The Art of Having No Idea.
Yeah. It feels like we lived it.
Yeah.
I want to go back to that last statement though, Laurence. You just dropped a bomb. You just farted in the room and left and pretended like it wasn't you. Oh, wow. Not having any more questions. What would that mean? What would that mean for you not to have any more questions?
Well, I admit it's not the first time I've thought it.
Obviously not. No.
But I'm not doing. So let's put it this way. It would mean stepping into knowing, and stepping into knowing first for myself. And I have a little mantra, just very recent mantra, which I've had to create myself, which is, there's a very old mantra that I have, an anti-mantra, that is, I need someone to tell me what to do. And it comes back to when I was all on my own at school, hundreds of miles from my family, and I'm 10 or 11. I'm wandering around on my own in the playground because everyone else has gone home to their families. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. To this day, there's an anti-mantra, a negative matter, an anti-matter mantra, which is, tell me what to do. Someone tell me what to do. And so my medicine mantra is, I know what I'm doing. And it's so easy to forget. Oh, I know what I'm doing. And that's growing up. That's what growing up looks like for me. That's what stepping into leadership looks like.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's happening, Andy?
Oh, I, you know me. I'm like, there's always 20. I was with someone for today. I spent the day with somebody who I always leave nameless because I don't want the guilty to feel guilty. And the individual was in a kind of a situation where they said something to another person, and then that got to be a big explosion. So now the friend of theirs for 40 some odd years now is trying to create some friction, and by getting other people involved and making groups of 4 people to fight on WhatsApp. And then I'm looking at them and I'm thinking, interesting, you're allowing this to unfold. You're letting the context be defined of how you're going to try to arrange a discussion between 4 people, of which 2 people don't even really belong there, because this person wants to prove you wrong. Like, this is really screwed up. So my mind is really simple. I have an on-off switch. I'm like, no, I take myself off the WhatsApp group, and I don't have to. I mean, it's a simple decision for me. It's like I made that decision 20 years ago that I'm not going to participate in somebody who's kindergarten kind of behavior, right? And but this person was totally unable to make that simple decision. They weren't able to just say, oh, I'm removing myself from the group because I don't want to participate in this childhood kind of drama. And as you spoke, there was something that came up for me, was that there's these learning moments. And I don't know exactly what it was specifically, but the learning moment is like, oh, I've made decisions 20 years ago that serve me today. Like, I don't have to relive that experience. And there was something you just said, and it connected to that experience that I just had a few hours ago. And I don't even remember what you said in the meantime. Do I have, what was the subject that brought me to this?
Do you know what happened, Andy?
What?
I rarely see you looking to your left. It's normally you do this or you do this, but today you look to your left, like really for a while. I was like, what part of the brain is he going to now? Like you were going in somewhere to get something. So that's why I asked you.
I went in there, and I don't know. I had a deep association with what Laurence just said, and now I don't have any idea how I got there. There was a deep connection with what it was going on, but obviously the two of you didn't get it, so it couldn't have been that clear.
Laurence, you said something, and I have a belief, so I'm owning it's a belief. I have a belief that leaders should let go of knowing.
Mm-hmm. Oh, thank you for. So this guy didn't know. He did not come from the confidence that you were just speaking from. So what I saw was he wasn't able to lead his own life. He could not lead his own life because the context around him was deciding what rabbit hole he got stuck into. And as you spoke about leadership, I realized leadership is very much about having made decisions, which are not right or wrong or better or worse. We talk about the non-duality component, but it's just, these are the decisions I've made for myself. They guide me. And I realized if someone hasn't done that, then it's really hard for them to lead their own lives. So that was how I saw the connection.
Yeah, and to Bambo's point, I guess the leader, the true leader knows that they don't know. And so they can make these decisions, like you say, Andy, they make these decisions knowing they don't know. So there's like prepackaged forgiveness, there's mistake tolerance and all that stuff. But I think you've got to know you don't know, and then you know what to do, right? I mean, I don't always know what to do, but I know that I don't know. That means there are no more questions. There's just living.
Yeah.
And all the other stuff, you know.
Yeah. And I think that the point you make is that deep awareness that you know that you don't know, and yet you're still making decisions. That's that tension space where actually that's why I say my mentor would always say freedom is the absence of choice. And it was really, and it was really funny is that, you know, over and over again, I come to realize that for myself was that when I'm in a really difficult situation about integrity, about someone behaving a certain way, like I don't have a choice on how I'm going to deal with it because I've already decided many years ago, these situations I'm going to treat in a certain way because I learned a principle that it didn't work the other way. Is it right? No. Do I teach it? No. I decided how I want to live, and it doesn't mean it's better. It just means that's the way I've decided how to live. Yeah. Which goes back to your leadership, as far as I see it, in my own words.
But then you do know things, don't you? And for example, from the space of not knowing, which is why I love no idea, the idea of no idea. From the space of not knowing, I know what I want for dinner, right? Or from the space of no idea, I know what I have to write here. Or from the space of no idea, I know I need to go to get this package from the post office, right? You know, and I think that's it. It's like, then you know, and you do know. It's like, oh yeah, I know.
Yeah, which is why the book came so easily, right? I tried to force writing this last book for about 3 months, and then I just started to walk. And then by just walking, all of a sudden I started to write like in ways that would have never been done if I tried to force myself into the structure. It just happened.
Did you dictaphone it? Was that how you did it?
No, I wake up usually. When I get into that zone, I'll usually wake up at 5 a.m, and I've written all my books on the iPhone. So I just write on the iPhone in bed, and then I keep writing and writing. Like I don't edit. I like let the words come first so that they can fill a space, and then I look at it afterwards and I say, "Oh shit, that's not the book I really wanted to write." But it's there's a surrender and a joy, and I love reading it. And I'll read Bambos a chapter, and he'll you know whatever he'll appreciate or not. But there's just a process. That's how I.
Can I ask you something about time? So I mistakenly probably thought that we would be talking for an hour.
Yeah, we should be talking for an hour.
Oh, is that fine? Okay, because I do have to run down. I promised my wife I'd pick something up from the store, but you know, it's hard to leave as well. Can I just say one thing that's been bugging me a lot, which is that I keep looking up because there are clouds and sky and trees up there, but I realize it must look really terrible.
It does.
So I'm really sorry about that, but I obviously look like I'm thinking all the time. I'm just looking at the sky because it's so nice.
Yeah.
And because my laptop's not up here.
Oh, that would have been better. You look far more guru-like from that perspective. It's funny.
Really?
Yeah. You look far better there. I thought you were going to say, I need to admit that the cat ears above Andy's head are really irritating.
No, I'm mainly irritated by myself, as I pointed out before. But yeah, I mean, so I'll finish like this, holding my computer up like that. And I apologize for my untelegenic behavior.
Yes. We cannot wait to have you on another show. I tell you that. And I think we're going to call the show How I Am Going to Start Loving Myself.
Yeah, why not?
Great.
It's great. Thank you, Laurence.
Send him a link.
By the way, just there's also something to be said. You actually do real things in the world where people come to you. And would you like to share that so people might want to find you at some point?
You're very sweet. I coach people. I work with leaders. I work with creative leaders. And that is anyone who wants to bring something into the world or has already brought something into the world of significance and wants to deepen their inner leadership. So thank you.
And where would they find you if they wanted to get more information?
They would find me at my website, laurenceshorter.com.
And there's a picture of Laurence. I'm going to warn you, there's a picture of Laurence with what is that called? Peroxide hair. And you might not recognize him from this photo. I was a bit confused. So just in case, that is Laurence on that picture.
I don't know what peroxide hair is. So
that's that white hair when you put in the really white. Yeah. Thank you. We don't want to get your wife in trouble. We don't want to get in trouble with your wife, okay? Much
Bye
love.
bye.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Laurence.
Bye, guys. Bye.
And for those of you still watching, do not go away yet, because we have an announcement.
Yes, we have an announcement.
A lot of you might have seen, we've already posted that we have a wonderful Chaos Summit coming up.
Wonderful Chaos Summit, our first summit.
And Andy has promised to sing every morning.
Yeah, a different song. You get to choose, Bambos.
Great. Jesus Christ Superstar, Andy.
Oh, yes, Jesus Christ, that would make you crazy. Oh. Basically, what we've decided to do is, I'm looking at the dates, but we can put that in a sec. If you check that out what we decided to do is we decided to take the format of a Wonderful Chaos and bring it to a 3-day event. And what we're doing is we're inviting anyone who wants to join. You come and you show up on the first night. We're going to have a whiteboard. Everyone gets to put their name on the whiteboard, whatever it is that they feel they'd like to share or not share with the group. You don't have to share a damn thing. And then people will self-organize and decide what groups they want to be part of, what things they'd like to learn or what things they don't want to learn. Some people will say, I want to sit next to the pool for the day. And other people might sign up and want to go to the pool. Some people might say, hey, we don't want to do any coaching or any training or any learning. And then you don't do any learning. So the whole idea is
you might even want to offer something.
Yeah, of course, everyone can, and it would be great to offer. And if no one wants to show up for whatever you're offering, then that's also wonderful. So we don't want anyone to come with the expectation that I'm going to do this. It's really just being present. So there's a lot of surrender in it. And so if you need to be, supported throughout a trip, I don't know, what is that just came on, warning or announcement?
JC Barney is saying, is this a warning or an announcement?
I love that. For you, JC, it's a warning. For everybody else, it's an announcement. And it'll be self-organizing. We'll decide what we do and what we don't do and allow it to evolve. And it's an experiment. Like everything we do is an experiment. So, yeah.
Well, the one thing that we know for sure, we've been to Hidden Paradise where this summit will be held. It's a beautiful, how should we describe it? Everything.
It is a paradise.
It's a paradise, really. And the woman that runs it, she is making love to everyone's intestines through the food that she makes. We're talking, take an orgasm, multiply that by infinity, and you're still nowhere close to the sensations.
And make it vegan as well, because there will be no meat in that whole week. So do be prepared for that. No meat, but it's the most delicious no meat you'll ever eat. Yeah. So that's it. And we figure it out together, and there's a lot of surrender and a lot of excitement. So we actually really do look forward to being with people that watch the show, but we don't necessarily get to spend time with. And it's 3 days, plus we have a fun 4-day extension. So if people want to have the 3 days of the program, there'll be 4 days afterwards to sort of just spend time and take trips to Granada and to local places and waterfalls and so forth. So there's a lot of stuff going on. So that's it. And the dates, you can find it online. It's in July, so we're pushing it tight. So if you want to come, I will need to know soon. Yeah. So sweet. Everything is grown on site pretty much as well, which is also special. What do you say?
Oh, Burlang says I'll be going for the fruit trees. There's a lot of food on the land there, Burlang.
Yeah, it's all permaculture, and everything is sort of its own ecosystem. So it's a great opportunity. And we laughingly said that if we don't get enough people to join the first annual, then we're going to have the second annual. So regardless, it's happening. So yeah, we'll be calling some of you, and if you're interested, call us, and we'll give you more details. Right?
That's great.
That was fun.
So, how's the weather over there? Is it still shitty?
It was so bad. It was like today. It rained, that intense rain. There was one of those moments when you're like, if it rains any harder, it's going to flood. It was one of those rains, that thick drops. It only happens a few times a year. So it happened for about 10 minutes. I was out when it happened even. And luckily I was in Overtome. So I got the cover of that shopping line, but it was bad. And just had a nice long walk. I did my 20,000 steps already this day, so I'm way ahead of the game.
Nice.
Cool. We went way over, so thank you, everyone. We love you. And Bambos will stay in Cyprus for the week, and I will stay in Amsterdam for the rest of this week. And
2.5 more weeks.
2.5 more weeks. And maybe, just maybe, we'll uncover more and more secrets from Bambos's family past, which I like this to be a segment on every one of our shows. Things that I just learned about my family. That would be really nice, Bambos. If you can give me one gem each day. Are you? You're taking it in. You're so all over it.
I'm taking it in. Like, I shared everything yesterday, so today there's nothing.
Okay. Well, I'd love it if you said, "Oh, this is a crystallized thing that I've now come to see or understand differently." Because I think one thing I do want to embrace.
I can tell you. Like,
okay.
I've seen the source of pain caused in my family for all these years is the holding of a story and wanting to be validated. There is absolutely no space for exploring anything else.
Wow.
So I just breathe. So in my body, what's happening, I'm not suppressing. It hurts, but I'm also not solving. So there's this spaciousness in me to just be present. And like, I even tell myself, that's not my mother. As a friend of mine today said, how she deals with her mother. It's not your mother. It's just a person. That's her name. That's how she behaves. I don't need it to be anything more or less.
Wow.
And that's a little bit how I'm living this.
Wow, I love that. Well, as there's more and more discoveries, I find in my own life that the more I'm close to the intensity of family, there's a lot of discoveries that come up. So if they do come up, please note them, because I'd love to bring them on and discuss them when we do the show, because I find it's beautiful to be with one when they're doing this intense deep dive into a part of their lives, and what an incredible place we have to interact around it, doing this every day. Yeah.
I also discovered that my first cousin baptized my half brother, and it was really like my dad's family had no clue how it ended for us. They didn't know that my father just vanished.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And somehow it's been also a discovery for them. So.
Oh, wow.
And I'm still getting messages, because when I was with them yesterday, they were all talking. There was a lot of talking. At some point, I started crying. And I'm still getting messages to tell me, hey, I hope you're okay.
Yeah.
And I'm like, those tears were tears of joy. I couldn't believe that I also bought in to the story as a child, which prevented me from feeling all this love that I have access to.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm sitting as a 44-year-old man with all of you, having no clue how we relate, and trying to figure out, like, first cousin, okay, got it. My dad's brother, got it.
Wow.
And it's like, wow, we have a really big family, like, Jesus fucking Christ. So I told my my aunt, that's a lot of sex.
and I guess, I mean, we won't go into it too much, but I know these dynamics, and we haven't discussed this, but I'm assuming that parts of the family aren't really talking to other parts of the family, because that tends to be what happens. And if you start crossing over the lines, it's almost like joining another gang. So I can imagine that there is some pressure on you as you interact with other parts of the family where people aren't getting along, because that tends to aggravate others. So I can't imagine that not happening.
Yeah, I felt the tension, and I kind of shared, hey, listen, you're welcome to join me. Yeah. I love you. It's really part of my healing. I really want to live from a space of love. Even when they tried to justify what happened, I told them, these are stories. All I've learned in my life is there's good people, and sometimes we as good people do stupid
things.
Stupid shit.
Yeah, I think I've said that once or twice when we've been together, right?
Yeah.
And yet I think it's beautiful that you didn't succumb to the pressure of people saying, hey, don't meet them because they've done these bad things. So in a way, that's a risk you've taken, and I just want to celebrate that, because it's not easy to do that.
I would say it hasn't been implicit. I did see discomfort, but I'll deal with that if it really bubbles up. Yeah.
I mean, it's again the same story as I will take you into account, but I'm not going to not do things because you feel uncomfortable. I think that's how society suppresses the rest of the people around them by saying you're a bad person if you do that. I've seen it happen all too often. It's so sad where everyone tries to control other people to make them feel less uncomfortable. Yeah.
And we're going to do that on?
We're going to do that and a lot more.
So much more
on A Wonderful Chaos. Who's pressing the button?
I was about to end the broadcast.
I was going to, but I thought it would be fun to watch you do it.
Give me a second.
I can do it. I have my finger on the button. I'm just waiting to see you. Of course. I just wanted to feel that discomfort.
What discomfort?